Okay, Angelica, I'm going to give you some quick feedback on your start of your paper here. So I like your area. This notion of the soulmate marriage is different from the companionate marriage, and the whole boiling water thing that Ansari has this little analogy. I like that. I do think you should check out, I think maybe the last chapter of the book. He talks more about that, about this notion of companionate marriage. And he may specify this claim a little bit, because right now you're sort of saying his claim is that in the old days marriage was more companionate and you just took whoever you could get, and nowadays you try to find your soulmate. And I think that's basically probably true. The question is, what is Ansari saying about, like, is it better now that we try to find our soulmates? Like, are people more satisfied in their relationships because they find soulmates? Does Ansari actually say something about that? He's pretty careful. He doesn't just come out and make like these, statements that are too broad or too extreme, but he probably does say to some degree what he thinks about that. So if you can make the claim you're evaluating sort of his opinion about that yes, and it's better that we find our soulmate now. Or it's not better that we find our soulmate now, it doesn't matter, or it's worse, whatever he says about it, you could evaluate that. So and this paper you found does that. I really like this paper you found. This 2012 paper is great on Indian couples in the United States. So it's a well-designed study. You have 58 couples, 28 are in arranged marriage, 30 are in love-based, and they're all Indian Americans living in the United States. So that's a good study. And they find no difference in the satisfaction or ratings of love, right? Yeah, so that's really cool. So that would suggest there's not much of a difference. So if you can use that as your thesis to say, actually data show that there's no difference between companionate and soulmate marriages, you have to contrast that with whatever Ansari's claim is. So see if you can do a better job of digging up Ansari saying something more opinionated about this stuff. If you can't, that's okay, but just make sure your thesis, which is going to be based on this study here, is like evaluating Ansari's claim. Now, you should also find another study in addition to this. Don't base it on just one study. Find at least one more. I don't think this other one is very good. It doesn't look like there's any data collected in this study. And I'm not sure about the book, but I don't think the book is good either, because I want you to find peer-reviewed studies that are, in scientific journals. And that means that if it's in one of these journals, scientific journal, it means that other scientists read the paper, they made comments and criticisms to the paper, and then they ultimately deemed that the paper was of sufficient scientific quality to be published. That's not the case with a book. So who knows who wrote this book? It might be good, it might be not good. So